Good evening, televiewers. You're welcome to today's edition of Prime Hour. We said yesterday that we're going to be focusing this edition of the program to agriculture. And yes, we're talking agriculture this evening, looking at the capital position, which is often described as the backbone of economies in Africa, yet considered as grossly neglected by our governments. We are going to be looking at the reasons behind this neglect and also exploring the potentials in our agriculture, the agricultural industry to turn our economies around. We are discussing this very, very important topic with experts in the domain. Two of them are already in the house. Two are going to be joining us. Hopefully, we are in the company of Dr. Nick Ngwanyam. He's an expert in the domain because he runs a university that trains agronomists. We're glad to have you, Doctor. Welcome.
Thank you very much. To say that I think the right word is that I'm passionate about agriculture.
Okay.
I'm passionate about agriculture, and like I've said before, being a medical doctor is just one of the three things I wanted to be. I wanted to be either a medical doctor, an agricultural officer, like the kind of agriculture you are seeing, not the kind in Cameroon. And then I wanted to be a pilot, one of these. I became a medical doctor. But you can now understand that even though I'm a medical doctor, my second passion is for agriculture. And so with the School of Agriculture, which is part of our School of Technology, we are trying to see how we can push youths to be part of this great event, given that if we put our thinking caps on and put our strategies right, we can create 2 million jobs for youths every 2 years in Cameroon through agriculture. And in your introduction, you were talking about agriculture as backbone of economies. I would say that it's not just for Africa. If you see great countries like America, China, and so on, they're very much into other technologies, but their agriculture is like the backbone. It protects them. If you take away the agriculture, they will collapse.
Okay. We also in the company of Nfor, Sahinda Amisu. He is an agronomist and a rural development consultant. He is the founder of Rural Sustainable Integrated Development, RUSIDEF, Bamenda, based in Bamenda. You are trained in Cameroon and in Israel. We are glad to have you this evening for the first time on Prime, all the way from the Northwest region.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Leo. And it's a pleasure meeting a doctor for the first time. And now I've been discussing what I've been following his words on social media, on TV, and so on. I think it's a pleasure being here. Yes, I will first of all say I was a farmer by birth. Okay. Because I was born and bred up by parents who were living on with sustaining life from agriculture. So I started practicing the agriculture before I became professional in it. And the professional life started in the Regional College of Agriculture, Ambe. And later on, I had to proceed with the studies to intensify studies in agriculture in Israel, where I studied in University of Rupin in Israel, where I've been placed on an intensive farm in Hogla. Yes. Okay. So I think since then we have been practicing in the field.
You have been practicing. We also expect Prince Justice Ajinga Tanyi to be joining us. He is an agro-business trainer and coach with very many, so much experience in the domain. He's written to us that he's caught in traffic. We hope that he beats traffic and join us in the course of the program. Apostle Ambe Valentine Ngwa is a permanent consultant. We also hope that he joins us in the course of the program. But I'll start with you, Dr. Nick Ngwanyam. You run a university that actually offers studies in agriculture. Was it imperative for you to do that? Is it because of the passion or because of an observation of a trend that was happening in our country and Africa as a whole?
I guess it's because of the passion and the observation of a trend. And, you know, we sit around and complain a lot. Oh, this is not working, this is not working. But the way we should while we are complaining, we should be coming up with solutions. And if you're coming up with solutions, there's no use just talking about solutions. Be doing something about it. And I guess that's where I am with this. Like I said, I love agriculture. And if you were to, of course, I stopped practicing as a doctor some time back because of some other reasons, the stress and so on. But if I were to go into take away anything from me now, take away everything from me now, I join agriculture and I would survive. So that is the way. And I see a lot of youths who are suffering. They don't have jobs and so on, yet the agriculture is there. And I came to realize that the only reason our youths are not engaged in agriculture is because the way agriculture is portrayed and is perceived is wrong. You know, when you see adverts of agriculture of agriculture, it's always some old men or old women with a hoe and a cutlass bent over with a broken back, and Nfor was saying that he comes from an agricultural background, but I would say that except for the children of ministers here, 95% of all Cameroonians come from that background. And you know, the kind of agriculture our parents have been practicing it's a back-breaking kind of agriculture. It's subsistent and it lacks technology, so it looks like a poor man's kind of job. It looks like it has got no future. And then the parents would, you know, a lot of children, when they want to go study, if they said they are going to study agriculture, their parents would be, hey, wait a minute, what are you talking about? You know, I want you
to go and work in a farm.
Yeah, and you know, they would discourage it. But we need to change that perception. And give children new tools and mechanisms for productivity, for production. Once we are talking about agriculture this time around, we are not supposed to be showing them the local hoe and the cutlass and so on, and a few corn stems and a few cocoyams. No, we should be showing them those cows all over the whole place. We should be showing them, you know, those plantations of whatever and so on, and we should be showing them tractors working. And that is the mindset with irrigation and all the modern technology. In fact, what do I think of agriculture today? I am looking forward to having the most beautiful girls, you know, running around on fields with, when I say running around on fields, I'm talking of driving tractors and caterpillars and trucks and all the heavy equipment like this guy you're seeing there. I want to see beautiful girls with lipstick, polished nails, and Indian hair going way down there, you know, in jeans and so on, running those things, because technically those things, they're very easy to drive, and you just need to push the buttons. They're all electronic. It's not the hand braking, or I mean, it's not the muscular kind of thing that you would need to operate that. You need just a head and which button to touch to achieve what. And if we teach our children that and they begin to engage in it, they will see how easy it is. All you need to do is use the brains, not use the muscle. Use the brains, and we'll get it done. It's about strategy.
It's about strategy, Mr. Nfor Sanda. Amisu, you studied in Cameroon and in Israel. Your experience, what are we not doing right in Cameroon or in Africa as a whole?
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Leo, once again. It is true that when you look at the setting in Cameroon, we all have the name developing countries. And maybe sometimes the way things are being done, we just have it that we are doing it from that developing aspect. Like Doctor was saying, the first thing is the mindset. Yes, the first thing is the mindset. When you have that mindset that what you are doing is already being classified or being named in a kind of way, you keep doing it without knowing.
As a poor man's job.
Yes, you keep doing it as the only option, or it is something that you are already known for. Whether you do it better or you don't do it better, you are already known for. Let you continue doing it that way.
Farmers are stigmatized here.
Yes. So now, when you look at it from the other side, from the developing country, as they call it, you realize that they do it more of like what it is an attachment to them. They don't do it because they feel that somebody's supposed to tell them, or somebody else was supposed to recognize what they are doing. I think this is the first differences. The second thing, like Doctor was also saying, the problem is with the youth. Yes. Or let me not start with the youth rather. The problem is the mindset. Yes. For example, like I said, when we were growing up, we knew that to follow your mother to the farm, and you walk throughout the day and you come back, and that was it. Yes, it's natural. But when you also look at it, you realize that what that kind of farming was giving our parents, it does not encourage a young person, or it does not encourage the youth to think that they can take farming as a profession. So the first thing we need to play with is
the mindset.
The
mindset is that, okay,
yeah,
farming is that place where you work money to go to where you want to get to.
Yes.
Where you can live a better life.
Yes.
Farming is just a means.
A means to get you to some
so
place.
we shouldn't live, we shouldn't be putting ourselves at a level where we think that farming is the last option. Maybe when you have failed to become a lawyer, you have failed to become a medical doctor, you are on retirement, that is when you're supposed to go focus on farming. That is not it. We're supposed to take farming like any other profession.
That's a young man growing, willingly engages in farming. Yeah.
Yes. So when we look at farming from that aspect, it will also be like we are seeing it like any other business or any other field in life, and that mentality is the boost factor, or the boosting factor behind it, that it encourages you to succeed in it. But when you take it like it's the last option, even the advice we take left and right, it will not help you.
Yes. It will not help you. You were in Israel. How are the farmers living compared with how farmers are living in Cameroon?
Okay, Mr. Leo, like I said, it's good to compare so that you learn from the good example. At the same time, sometimes when I want to talk about this, I'm usually afraid, because it's like I'm comparing what should not be compared.
No, we want to get to the best. So yeah.
Yes, I know what I'm talking about. Okay, for example, Mr. Leo, let's not go far. There is this name that we have today in Cameroon. We say we are doing second generation agriculture. Yes. Okay, but when you look at that name, or when you call that name, and you look at what it is being done in the field, you realize that there are two different things. You cannot compare. Because when we say second generation agriculture, I think it should be what I experienced in Israel.
Okay.
For example, my first week in Israel, I was able to use the irrigation system and irrigate the plant in a greenhouse when I was not taught in class yet. So how was the program? The program was designed in this way. You have to be trained theoretically by a school, and there are 3 campuses that students live. You were from Uganda, Cameroon, Cote d'Ivoire, Philippines, and so on. So you are being put among these 3 campuses. What they do is, you don't stay in school, or you don't stay in town. Like maybe you are in Douala, you want to attend the School of Agriculture in St. Louis. They don't keep you in Douala. Yes, you don't stay in Douala. Okay. If there is a plantation in Limbe,
yes.
If there is UNVDA, there is a UNVDA in Dop,
yes.
They keep you in Dop. When they keep you in Dop, that is how I started practicing before I could go to the classroom.
Okay.
Yes, this is to say that they value more of the practical, because when you go practical, it doesn't depart your memory. Yes, I remember a doctor was talking more of a practical session in physics and so on about the collapsing thing. Yes. So when we arrived in Israel, the first week we were put at the farms. We were put at a farm. When we say farm, there are industrial farms where human labor is minimal. If you had to do something with a human labor, it means maybe you are just correcting that machine cannot do what's supposed to be done by human. So by this doing, they keep you in the farm. When you are taking the practical session in the farm, the school follows you with the theory. And by so doing, the program is designed in such a way that it is either what you are practicing in that farm, it is before the course comes in the classroom. or immediately you start with a course in the classroom, you start taking the practical session at the farm. So you spend just a day to be in a classroom, as well as you spend the rest 4 days practicing. And this is how I think when we talk about second generation agriculture is supposed to take. And how are we doing it? We're not only doing it with our hands. Like I said before, you can only do with your hands, or you use your hand in doing it when the machine is failing or where it must be done by the hand. Yes, because even in the high mechanized farms, you cannot do everything with a machine. We were actually using machines, and we use complicated machines, but when you go practical according to how that agriculture, that study was designed, you easily learn it with no problem. And I think that this is some of the things that we're supposed to copy, even though, like I said, it's so different, the gap is so big. But by doing this, for me, that is when I know that this is second generation agriculture. Rather than telling people to be mechanized farmers, as well as when we want to go, or maybe there is an Ewane, an international organization or a local organization want to support farmers, we still see people bringing crude tools. Then what are we talking about, the second generation agriculture?
Okay, Dr. Nick Ngwanyam, is that where the problem is? In Africa, we are good at sloganeering. Meanwhile, in a country like Israel, where he studied, they are doing actual practicals. He raised an issue that in Israel, it is labor is less intensive. Yes. So the machines are there to do the job.
You see, what pushed us to put this program, the other day, that was Monday, we were talking about the quality, the type of education we have in Cameroon. And when Nfor was talking, he was talking about the mindset, that mentality. So it is that type of education and the poison minds that already makes for a bad situation, okay? Now, when you listen to Nfor talking about the second generation agriculture or industrial agriculture or technology-based agriculture,
yes,
with so many other aspects to it. When he's saying technology, it's not just about the farm, it's the food processing and everything that, whatever you see in the supermarket, how it goes from the farm to the supermarket is the whole chain. Now, we can get frightened and we can take as an excuse to say, but we don't have those machines. Oh, but we don't have those machines. We always like to give these excuses so that we fail to do the right things. And you still remember those many tractors that got rotten in Bolova, right, in the bush. Yes. So those tractors rotting in the bush, there was no lack of machines. It's the mindset.
Yes.
It's the mindset. We are not going anywhere. But when we come to the understanding that we've got to change our agriculture, then we need to the way it is done, then we need to actually come up with ways and means or strategies that allow the children to bite into it without any resistance. And therefore, as the whole school system changes and we start training children in technology and agriculture from nursery school, then it becomes a way of life. And again, as I was saying, agriculture itself is not bad, but two things need to be taken out of it. Two things are poisoning the agriculture. Number one, that people perceive it as not being rentable, as they would say in French. It doesn't really pay as much.
Yes.
And two, they say, it's backbreaking. Correct these two things, and then make agriculture more of a sport. Okay, it's like when you want children to go play sports, you don't have to encourage them. They're excited to go do it. And I've been thinking very seriously about it. Let's ask ourselves some questions. Why are a lot of youths, riding motorcycles? And you can see a lot of youths are riding motorcycles. And many of them too are going to garages to learn motor mechanics and to learn some things. A lot of youths are excited. They want to use their brains. They want to use their hands, and anything that has to do with the machine is exciting. It's exciting. Even if you are now an adult, you buy a new car, you are excited. It's about machines. Now, think of a situation where you're going to take those children and put them in those agricultural equipment, small ones, big ones, medium-sized ones, and so on. And they can see themselves as being useful. And they spend 8 days on the farm just pushing with buttons and so on and having work done. If we can twist things around so that children are actually learning and working, but it looks like it's a play, that would be it. And they need to learn the whole process. You know, what do I mean by learning a whole process? There was a time when I had in my mind, I said, we could do something. You know, take a camera, go into a bush, show a forest, then show how it is being cleared down, then show how some people are nursing palm nuts, show how the palm nuts are being planted, show how they have grown at the different stages and they're being catered for, show how the thing is bearing the palms, show how it is harvested, show how it is taken to the factory and the oil is extracted from it, show how the kernel is cracked and the kernel from inside is removed, show how the chaff are being used and so on. Then show how the kernel oil is being used to produce soap. Show how the red palm oil is being used for the various things that is used for, including all what we eat it. It is bleached. It is used for roasting meat, soya. Show all those things, and then show how money changes hands from the time that okay, you buy a piece of plot. Okay, you pay the landlord for the land, or you rent it or something like that. Then show how much the landlord, the person who has rented the farm, makes by getting people to work on the farm and then harvesting at the end of the day. What did he get? And show how the people working on the farm are also earning money. You know, you follow that chain and then show how there's value, that's value added chain, how it is going up until then we follow the red palm oil into a supermarket, how everything has been packaged now and is looking very neat. And you'll be surprised to know that, you see this dry milk that we have in our supermarkets, you think it's all milk, is false. Did you know that before?
For sure.
It's false.
Yes.
You know, in those white man country, when they have milked the cows, they extract the butter and some of the other nutrients. Then you have some watery thing left. Then they take this palm oil, they have the technology, and they replace the butter that was removed with palm oil. And then they send it back to us. So you need to show how that palm oil, that palm that we are taking for granted here, has added value all along. Then show, for instance, we were talking the other day. There's my friend Dr. Felix in the University of Chang. He's very innovative, and he's been going around just like you and learning a lot of things. And one of the things that he's trying to encourage now is for farmers to grow sunflower, you know, the sunflower,
yes,
on large scale. Because when you go to countries like in Kenya, Uganda, what they do is they grow the sunflower to obtain oil. They don't have these our kernels here. They don't have these palm trees, and that's what or coconut oil. So, and what is the beauty of it? Look at it. When we grow palm oil, let's say if you had 10 hectares and then you grow the palm kernel, it takes about 4 or 5 years for the kernels to start really producing massively.
Yes.
But if you had those 4 or 5 hectares, you can grow sunflower, you can grow 2 or 3 crops if you had irrigation, and you squeeze that sunflower and you get a lot of oil, you get kernel cake and so on. So these are the kind of things that we need to be showing our children and teaching them. And above all, when we are talking the agriculture, it is not it's not this thing that we do in Cameroon. As far as I'm concerned, this thing of splitting and saying animal husbandry, over the Ministry of Animal Husbandry, then for agriculture for us means plants, is all wrong. That's where the error begins from. We need to bring those two things under one roof. Integrated agriculture, where you are talking about animals and plants, and then so that when you train youths and you show them, if you had only 1 hectare, how would you manage it? Just 1 hectare. How would you keep chicken, goats, things and so on, grow some corn and beans and so on, and manage that to be able to survive? These are the ways we should go on. And talking about machines, just before I give you back the microphone, you know, when we look at these giant machines, sometimes we can be scared. But let us realize that you don't need these giant machines to be able to do industrial agriculture. There are some hand-driven machines that can till.
Yes.
Small
tillers.
Yes, hand tillers. They're small like that. So instead of breaking your back, you can buy some of those hand tillers. There are some as cheap as 400,000 francs. You can buy those hand tillers and do a lot of work for yourself. So while you might have the very big machines, there are smaller ones. Let's say like the small handheld machine for planting corn.
Yes.
You just put it there, you just go instead of breaking your back and so on, and the thing plants for you. So there are all small technologies. It's about technology, it's about science, and even though you can see a huge machine doing it, but the same technology can be incorporated in a small machine that we can always
Now, you say you were raised from a farming family. Was it enough to discourage you from engaging in farming? And has the way our parents lived out of agriculture, subsistence agriculture, has it greatly discouraged many persons from wanting to ever living the lives their parents lived?
Yes, Mr. Leo, I will actually say yes, because you see, you come to think of a scenario where you have two uncles, you are living with them in the same house. Maybe another uncle is a carpenter, another uncle is a farmer. Okay. At the end of the day, you are trying to see, you know, like children or like people somebody that are growing and looking up to somebody, to an elderly person. You are obviously interested in that uncle that you see each time he comes around you, maybe you have some problem with money that uncle can give you, or each time you see that uncle is upgrading. Maybe he has built a house this year. Next year he is planning to buy a car. So this is actually what has happened. The youths today, they have tried, they have observed that what their parents were doing when it comes to agriculture, it have not really helped their parents. And so why should they again go and do what their parents were doing and that did not help them? Because sometimes in the university, you see students, they meet, this person will be saying, oh, my father is a lawyer, my father is a medical doctor, and in our house, this is it, we have a house, and so on. And somebody coming from a farming background, and of course, subsisting agriculture, because it's not even the farming we are talking about here. Somebody coming from a background where the parents were subsistent agricultural farmers. You start thinking of the kind of house you were staying in. You start thinking of the kind of food you people were eating, even though you were working as a farmer, or your family was predominantly depending on farming. But when you want to compare the nutritional intake or what you wish to consume as children of the farmers and as children of, or let's say, a lawyer or
a policeman.
Yes, a policeman. you realize that the children of the family, they're not having a healthy life. So this is one of the points that has actually tilted
How do we
the mind
explain that
of
the children of farmers, they're the one producing the food? How can we understand that their children are not living a healthy life?
No, what he's saying is there's no variety in what they eat. They eat healthy food in the sense that it's fresh, and you know, coming from the backgrounds we came from, where it's bio, there's no chemicals, no fertilizers and so on. But you know, it would be like jama and fufu all the time, jama and fufu all the time and so on. Then if you are from Kum, then you are lucky a little bit of kati and goes around with it, which is great though, which is great. But now when you come from a village setting and then you are sitting with people and they are talking about sardines and then susisong, all those kind of things, you begin to wonder, you know what I mean?
Okay, yes. So, we can't leave some people there for the world.
Yeah, it's like we can't leave some people there for this world and so on. But in reality, there's nothing to eat. There's really nothing to eat. But what Nfor is trying to say is that it's a kind of picture which tells the children that we cannot be like them. Yes. You know, they are the Joneses.
Okay.
So I was about to learn to say that, Mr. Leo. So when as the children of today or as the youth of today, they have had this mindset that the family has not made their parents to succeed. Maybe they are the reason why they are where they are, the children today. So it's like as I started before, when you compare between two uncles and you realize that one uncle is not doing well. So as a green child, why should you copy the lifestyle of that uncle? you would definitely want to imitate the lives of the uncle that is succeeding. This year he constructed a house, next year he's planning to do this, and you see. So this is where the youth, they have taken that mindset from.
Now, but is it possible for the farmer to live as a millionaire, as a billionaire? Is it very possible in Cameroon?
Yes.
Yes.
Can I just say something before?
Okay.
When you were saying something, I had a brainwave. Now, we are describing, I mean, we are talking about this picture, but as Nfor was talking, I got a quick brainwave that I want to share with you before it gets missing. If you look at the way adult work is structured in our community, you will see that it's very clear that over here you have civil servants, and to this other side you have the private sector. And it's the civil service in Cameroon was so structured in a way that, and even till today, when you are in the civil service, it looks like you have really succeeded. If you have a matricule number, you have succeeded. If you are not in the civil service, you have failed. That's the way it is interpreted. So you will see sometimes very rich people in the private sector, but the mindset tells them that if you are not a civil servant over here giving orders and so on, you have failed. So a lot of children in growing, they have that mindset, I want to join this class of civil servants. And that's why you see the concours disease and many other things happening these days. And people in the private sector are kind of like looked down upon, just because the private sector in our country is not properly developed, and in Africa. But just to go on to tell you that in developed countries, actually it is the private sector that drives the development in those countries. Yes. When Nfor was describing that agriculture in Israel is not owned by the government, it's private people. Yes. Private people working as families or companies and so on, producing so much and being so rich. So we need that switch, and to say that, you know, we need to drive our youths from having this civil service mentality into a productive, rich private sector area, and therefore we need to do what it takes to develop that private sector in a way that it becomes exciting, and then show them how to create the wealth in the private sector through the agriculture and through some other fields, and a lot will begin to change. We cannot just, it's true that we have to change that mentality by teaching and preaching, but we have to demonstrate it. It has to be through a demonstration and give incentives for that kind of thing to happen.
Give incentives, yes. And my question is, can a Cameroonian today actually engage in farming and play a millionaire-billionaire role in Cameroon? Is it possible?
What of Baba?
That's what I was just about to say. Yes, it's very possible because I think Baba Dampole is a Cameroonian, and the farm which I have visited many times is still existing, and Papa Dampole is doing very well. It is possible. And Mr. Leo, maybe before I get ahead to come back, I think this is there's a project that we are currently implementing in the field now. I am implementing, or I'm a trainer under that project from the Regional College of Agriculture, Bambili. The project stands at the Green Innovation Project for agricultural sector, Green Innovation Center for Food and Agricultural Project. Okay, we call it procedure, that's the acronym, the procedure. And under this procedure, there are other big institutions that they have come as a partner. Yes, procedure is actually a GIZ project. And there are other sectors like the CIP, Center for International Potato. Yeah, they are also a partner in this project. And so we have two things that we are implementing in that project. And these two things are, we have the good agricultural practices. We call it the GAP. At the same time, we are also bringing the Farmer Business School, FBS. So I want to respond to your question by saying that it is very possible, because with the Farmer Business School, it has been well scrutinized to know the problem with farmers in Cameroon. That is what the Farmer Business School has come now to do, and it is doing. It is under the GIZ, as I said. But don't be surprised that this Farmer Business School idea originated from a Cameroonian. Yes, if my memory is not failing me, Mr. Elarion Rigobert Mbahe, that is the master trainer of that program. So the man, he actually sat and realized that a lot of things have been said about agriculture. Agriculture is the backbone of Cameroon, is the backbone of Africa. Agriculture is a good job. It's a noble profession. If you join, it's going to change life and so on. But when you actually move to the field with the farmers and you ask them, is this thing actually changing or improving anything in your life? The answer is no. So this Don, he has actually, he did this so many years, and he has been a trainer in so many African countries with this FBS. So the FBS has proven that it is true that with farming, through the method that is being introduced with the GIZ, as I'm calling FBS, a farmer can be a billionaire. Because the problem you are asking the question is the same thing as I'm saying here. When you look at what farmers have been doing year in, year out, nothing is changing. Yes, the reason is because when you go through the FBA, you realize that along the production chain, there are little activities that we neglect. There are little activities that we jump past, but we don't know it affects your production capacity throughout your life, throughout that cropping season. So this approach is coming back to make sure farmers come back.
You're talking about Farmers Business School?
Yes.
Farmers Business School.
Yes.
So where is it operating?
Okay. Yes, I know you asked the question because you heard school. You asked the question, where is it operating? Actually, the word school it stands to demonstrate learning. Yes, but it is more of an adult learning and more of a practical training. Yes, you demonstrate with the farmers. For example, like I was saying some days somewhere, and we are training farmers in the field now. It is structured in 12 modules. Okay, it is not like a school where you go and people pay school fee and you stay there. No, if you identify farmers, for example, let's say you want to train farmers on the potato value chain in Do, for example, you simply need to identify the farmers. You simply need to identify the farmers, and you people allocate the space and the place where you people can have the training. And how is this training done? Like I said, it is more practical oriented in the field. You don't suppose to go sit in a comfortable hall or in a comfortable classroom that you want to carry out this training. No. At the expense or at the disposal of the farmers in the field, you can carry out this training. And when you carry out the training, you are demonstrating. For example, like the module 2 part of this training is all about measurement. It tells you about measurement. Because farmers, they cultivate their farm year in, year out. But if you gather 10 farmers and you ask them, how many of you actually understand or you know the exact surface area that you have been cultivating year in, year out? Not 10 will tell you. If 10 have to tell you, they are even estimating. Not up to 10 will tell the exact surface area that they have been cultivating.
They're just working.
Yes, they're just working. But when you tell them how many hectares do you have, they'll tell you I have 2 hectares, 1 hectare, 500 meters square, and so on. But they don't. So now see where it affects the farmers. When you don't master the surface area that you are cultivating, how do you master the fertilizer you need to apply? How do you master the quantity of seed you need to put in that surface area? How do you master the input, the labor that you need to supply for that activity? So you see, at the end of the day, it is either you are underutilizing the input or you are overutilizing the input, and that is how it wears down your financial plan. At the end of the day, since you do not understand what you put in, you do not also understand what you're supposed to have back. And that is how it's
we need to know more about this here school and the process of getting trained from the school, and also the possibility for getting trained at the level of Dr. Nick's school. Yeah. Even in the Faculty of Agriculture at the University of Buea, there are some schools that are cropping up. Dr. Nick, you had an understanding, or was it a memorandum of understanding with the University of Buea today?
Oh yes, yesterday I was at the University of Buea to sign some memorandums of understanding for training at BSc and master's level. It's a process, you know. Yeah. We are in this. The process usually takes 3 phases. We have done the first phase. Today we are doing the second phase, and after that there will be a third phase, so that we can start, these bachelor programs in some areas, especially here in Douala, and then master's programs in some other areas. We'll talk about that later on. Okay. But the agriculture, on Saturday, the faculty, the faculty of agriculture was here with the vice dean in charge of the vice dean, Professor Alain, and Professor Lucy, and then Professor Mvondo. They were at St. Louis to look at our agricultural department so that they could give us the opportunity to train up to the BSc. As of now, we do at the HND level. So they brought us a lot of information and then showed us what to do. They were happy with what they were seeing and so on. So there was a lot of input, and that's exactly what we went to do in Boya today, because they are our mentors. So they need to know what you are doing, what is it that they can do more for you, and they are very understanding. I've been working with the University of Boya since 2011. Okay. So it's an ongoing cooperation. Okay. We'll continue.
Since we're talking agriculture, we will have to take a listen to Ekole Raphael, who is into bee farming in Kumba, chief town of Meme Division. Also share with us his experience and tell us what challenges he is facing in this domain.
Well, good evening. Good evening. Good evening, my media prime viewers. Good evening, partner in the box. My name is Ekole Raphael. Sorry. My name is Ekole Raphael, all the way from Kumba. Yeah, Misilio. Thank God today I'm once invited in your program, talking about agriculture. With agriculture, I've come in as a bee farmer. I've seen that we have neglected bee farming. We now talk about poultry, talk about fishery, talk about piggery and the rest. Somebody talk about his own whatever. But here am I, Misilio, I'm talking about bee farming. Misilio, this bee farming is something I've learned for years. I've been in Bamenda, in Wum, Benakuma, Modele. I've been there because we first of all tried Kumba, and we find out that Kumba cannot sustain bees because of the too much spraying here in Kumba. So we decided to go to Bamenda. When we went to Bamenda, it was a great show. But we did not end it because during to the war, the person that was controlling was there in Bamenda. My brother brought up this thing in Kumba, where we started to learn. And he told us that with bee farming, sky is your limit. And today I find it true, because for years that I've not been doing bee farming, it disturbed me so much. Why? Because financially I was not up to the task. So some of these boxes that you see me like this with, it comes from my elder brother this Sunday. So in short, what I'm saying here is that bee farming has money. People are neglecting the projects, because I don't know whether they have seen somebody can do it or somebody cannot do it. But what I'm telling you is that if you have a cocoa farm and I have a bee farm that I have about 30 bucks maximum, I can say I have money more than you. Because before you want to start harvest your cocoa for 3 years, I have already started eating the money from bee farming. So what I'm saying here is that when they are talking of agriculture, I as one that have done bee farming, I've not seen anything that can be more than bee farming. Yes, everything in a beehive has a use. We think that the honey, the oil, the liquid is not the highest stuff in the beehive. There are things that are inside the beehive that are even more than the liquid that they are looking for. There are things that you eat from a beehive that are more than. From a beehive, you have the liquids, you have pollen grain, you have propolis, you have royal jelly. Propolis is something that you use in the hospital. You can put in an alcohol, you use it for something like wound or whatever. Pollen grain is something that you eat. It's more than vegetable. You eat. You go to royal jelly. Royal jelly is what the queen eats inside the box. The boxes that they are there, that's what they feed the queen. It's a special food for the queen. You go there, you can meet let me say the wax. It means that when they are constructing they put the honey, that is a wax. 1 kilo of that thing like that, if you arrange it well, is 2,500 shilling. So when we talk of agriculture, there are places that we Cameroonians were not touching. We just abandon them. Look in Kumba or in Southwest, there are no people that they say that they are doing bee farming. All what you know is only Bamenda. All what we know is only Bamenda. We talk about Bamenda always. You want honey, go to Bafusam. You go to Ncha. All those places. Why not doing here in Kumba? And we have everything here in Southwest in Kumba precisely. Because let me not say where I have not been in Kumba. I've been in Kumba. There are many places that we can walk. So we say what I'm saying here is that I just want to say thanks to Dr. Nick and Apostle Ambe. I'm saying thanks to them because they have revived me. I was first asleep, but every time when they talk about agriculture, they make me to know that it's not a white collar job that matters. Just like that, every day Dr. Nick enlightening people about working for yourself. A bee farmer, even you, a little child can be a bee farmer because it doesn't have any expenditure. Highest expenditure that you can start to be a bee farmer is 100,000 francs. If you have a forest, that's just all. Like what you have seen me there doing, it's not my farm, it's somebody's own. So I just tell you the truth. With a bee farm, you can manage yourself in any way. So there's nothing that can compare a bee farm.
Okay, we're going to be going back to Ekole Raphael, who is into bee farming out there in Kumbas, in the Southwest region, Meme Divisional Headquarters. But for now, we're taking a short break. We're coming right back.
There's nothing more magical than spending good times with the family during the holidays. So, join Canal Plus and let's spend the holidays together. To welcome you, the decoder is 5,000 francs and installation offered with many channels.
Ça sera la musique ou rien.
C'est tout.
What to love?
Nous avons un duel Afrique de l'Ouest, Afrique centrale.
Dance and ignite your evenings. Share strong moments full of twists and turns. And even make the younger ones dream.
Passage en vitesse, Mac Noël. Tout est prêt pour qu'on profite de I see you watching my stories. I see you getting my lifestyle. I see you watching my movements. This bad bitch bad every day. I know they look at your face. Bad man bad every day. Get on your knees and pray. Do you regain your faith?
Welcome back. You're watching Primer on My Media Prime. Dr. Nick Ngwanyam, you just listened to Ecole Raphael quoting you and Apostle Ambe, Valentine, Ngwa, and he says that with 100,000 francs CFA, we can do it.
Yes, of course we can do it. Thank you, Monsieur Raphael, because when you acknowledge like that, you encourage us to continue and that we are not making a mistake. Yes, he's right about it, because technically what are you using the 100,000 for? It's just about making that that beehive, and you know, you need some tools, then you need to buy some bamboos, and you know, whatever it takes. So with the 100,000 francs, you might get about a couple of those beehives, and then you just plant them in farms or in the bush or something like that, and you have honey. So he's right. There's no question about it. And once you are put it there, you are doing nothing to it. You know, you are sleeping and you are going around your other businesses, but the honey is accumulating in there. You only come to harvest. You only come to clean around the whole place and harvest. So he is right. And when he was talking, he reminded me of what we ought to be doing. Because when we're talking about agriculture, depending on where you go to, if you go to upcountry, when I say in Ambe, where I come from, you know, when you're talking agriculture, people are only thinking of corn, beans, goats, and then some jama, and I think that's about it, right? Yeah. Yes, but he opens up our minds, and we have to realize that there's a lot that we can do in agriculture, be it in animal agriculture or plant agriculture. I'm in some WhatsApp groups, sustainable agriculture. Are you in that group? Yes. I'll put you in that group. Sustainable agriculture, and then there's another one, just agriculture, and another one, talents, where you have Javnui. Yes. And then there is another one for poultry farmers, another one for fish farmers. I'm in all of these groups, so just by being there, I learn a lot. And there is there's Mr. Eseni, who is producing a lot of maggots. I'm sure you've seen me. I've sent them to you. Yes, you know, he brought this technology how you can grow maggots to feed and maggots are a cheap source of protein to feed your poultry, to feed your fish, to feed your other animals. Even you can put it in pig feed or something like that. These are all techniques. You know, how do you get the maggots? It comes from this black soldier fly. Not the house fly. The house fly can give you maggots, but probably not as much. But this black shoulder fly, the maggots are much bigger, and it produces a lot. And there's a way of doing it, and you can end up with buckets and buckets of this, which is a cheap source of protein to feed your animals, and therefore you reduce the input into the feed, and then you get out, you know, maximum output. So. And I was listening. It's always good to listen to YouTube, listen to many people talking, because we have been formatted and crafted. Our minds are so blocked we don't think. You know, the white man came and said that we should grow coffee and coffee and cocoa.
Cotton.
And cotton. They call them cash crops. You know, that word cash crops is deceiving us. So what does cash crop mean? It means it's a crop that you would sell and get money. But do you know the interesting thing? The interesting thing is that the cash crop is actually what you and I must eat to survive. See, we go and when we sell the cocoa and when we sell the cocoa, we take the money and go and buy Chinese rice. You see, so the Chinese cash crop is rice.
Yes.
And now you know that the Brazilians don't even have enough of those their inputs for making beer and corn, and so they don't even have the corn. So they are taking the money that you used to do, you buy the beers, and then they are importing corn from somewhere else. That is the cash crop of those other people. So you see, what I'm saying is, in as much as we are growing the coffee and the cocoa that we don't eat, we should also put in some time to grow what we eat. And I don't know who deceived us that wheat cannot grow in Cameroon. It's a lie. You know, I don't know who deceived us that all those other exotic things are not growing in Cameroon. There's one gentleman who is growing apples in Cameroon, okay? Yes, and they are grafting, and still another one that is growing this dwarf coconuts and so on. And we can grow plantations of coconuts and produce a lot of coconut oil, coconut cake, all those things. So there is just so much. And a moment ago, I was talking about sunflower oil. So there's a lot that we can do to help ourselves. And then now we are looking at this chicken. Each of these chicken, the egg came from France or came from somewhere. But there is a way that we can have, you know, poulet pantalon,
yes.
Brahma, or is
yes.
it called? This Chinese chicken, they call it Chinese chicken. Those chicken that have feathers on their legs like that.
Yes.
First, those chickens, the meat is the best meat that you could ever eat. And number two, they grow very fast. They grow relatively fast. Number three, they lay a lot of eggs. Okay, and so we can begin to grow a lot of this kind of chicken, and then produce the eggs en masse and hatch them, and then wean ourselves from importation.
Exactly.
There is a lot that we can do on the ground and wean ourselves from importation, you know. And then we can go into food transformation and begin to see how we can preserve, because we have a lot of post-harvest losses. There's a lot in that area. Then we also have to ask our government to come up with strategies to make sure that the farm-to-market routes are good. Because even in as much as we are saying people should farm, a lot of people in the hinterlands, they are farming, but the roads are so poor that most of their crops get rotten because they can't come to the market.
Okay.
So we need to work on all these things and make sure that money is getting into the pockets of youths.
Agriculture in Cameroon has really been neglected. How can you explain that with the number of programs that has existed and is still existing at the level of the Ministry of Agriculture and Livestock, the situation of the local farmer has not changed over the years? Money meant for farmers is spent organizing workshops in Yaoundé. We talk about second generation agriculture. Look at the number of tractors that have been abandoned in the bush in Ibolova, while farmers still use crude tools to farm. Prices of farm products are not standardized, reasons why farmers in Cameroon will always remain poor. The government of Cameroon needs to do more work, okay? Excuse me. Good evening, Mr. Leo, and to Dr. Nick. He was my CEO at St. Louis University. I studied nursing, but even though right now I'm into teaching GBHS Gide in the North region, please do extend my greetings to him, and I love his involvement in all the topics discussed at my Media Prime TV. Keep it up, more grace. Raina is speaking from Garoua.
Oh, thanks.
Okay, we're glad to hear that, Raina, and we hope we are very sure that you are an exemplary teacher out there. Good evening to all in the studio. Please, I think it's high time we train our children in practical second generation agriculture and also in agro entrepreneurship to enable know how, when, and what to produce and where to sell. Agbo is writing from Ambe. Yes, I think what Agbo is asking for is very important. Yes. Did you get that?
Yes.
Can you talk about the school? What's that school again? How can the school help Cameroonian youth?
Yes, I was talking about Farmer Business School. Yes, Farmer Business School.
It does not have a campus.
Yes, it does not have a campus. We shouldn't concentrate on that word school. It's just like a kind of a learning model, yeah, where it's more of an adult learning, because you are dealing with farmers. You are dealing with farmers in the field. You could come, let's say, in the studio, you structure in such a way that people sit comfortably and you can pass the message. That is all about the school. So it could either be done through institutions, or it could either be done with under a project or organization that they think the idea is good to share with some farmers. Because actually Farmer Business School has two principal things to address. For example, number one, farmers, like I said, it was a program that was crafted by a Cameroonian, which means he has actually mastered or understood the problem in which farmers have been going through, and that is why farmers are staying on the same spot year in, year out, despite the effort. So by Farmer Business School, we mean that you want to take farmers from a certain point 0 to another point 1. That point 0 is where the farmer remains year in, year out with all the energy, the input and whatever, and the farmer keeps turning around. That is why this expert has been able to bring up this approach, and the approach is effectively being implemented by the GIZ. The second, the first thing, as I'm saying, is that farmers are not organized. That is the first thing. Secondly, farmers, they misused or mismanaged their resources. When we talk of resources, we talk of human resource. It could be the labor, capital, and even objects. Okay. So it is feasible, or it is possible for people to undergo through this training and be able to change their lifestyle. Because, for example, like I said earlier with one of the modules, which has to do with measurement. Immediately a farmer knows that he's supposed to do measurement. Now he starts asking he or herself the question, when I do this measurement, it means that if I have to plant potato on this piece of land and I have 1 hectare, how much quantity of potato do I supposed to put in that piece of land? From there, you see, the farmer now understand. He now start thinking that if I buy more than what is required to be planted on 1 hectare, it means I'm wasting that seed. If I buy less than what is supposed to be planted on 1 hectare, it means I'm not going to have the quantity of potato I want to have at the end of the production. Yield. The required yield, yes, of course. Okay, at the same time, it also has to do with quality. For example, there is a model that has to talk about the quality of the seed that you use. If you are dealing with potato farming, let's say it could be in Libialem, or it could be in Berenka, it could be in Santa, it could be in Du. Yes. How do you get the quality seed of potato that you think what you want to have at the end is you are going to have it? So when you tell the farmer that you need to obtain your seed from a well-certified seed producer or from the research institutions that they are in charge of potato seed, that farmer, because also this is to say that farmers have been using seeds that they are not viable. And you bear with me, Mr. Leo, no matter how good you are in agriculture, no matter how good the soil is, how much you put the fertilizer, the input and whatever, if the seed is bad, you're not going to harvest anything. It ends there. So, by going through farmer business school, the farmer is able to understand those things that they were not doing or they were not considering, and that was hindering them to live from that point 1 from that point 0 to point 1 where we want to take them. And that point 1 is that life changing, that improvement.
Yeah, but how do farmers, many farmers may be watching us from across the nation, how do they benefit from the school?
Okay, that is a very good question. Like I said, GIZ has already trained some group of trainers in the Northwest region, and they are already implementing or they are already carrying out this training with farmers. So for now, you can only benefit from the training when you are within these zones of intervention. Yes, for example, if Santa is one of the zones, for example, it means that for you to benefit in this training, you have to be within the cultivation basin of Santa, so that in the course of this trainer training the farmers in that area, you are also part of it. Okay. At the same time, if farmers organize themselves, if farmers they have been existing in groups, or they have been existing in groups like CIG, like cooperative, yes, they can also side with us, or they can also contact the GIZ office, and they say, we heard of this and we are so much interested. It will be good to take part of that training, and that is also another way that can be part of it. Is it
possible to have the guys of GIZ on this platform so that they talk directly to the farmers across the nation? Is it possible?
Yes, it is very, very possible.
Are you taking that responsibility to talk with them? Because many farmers who are watching are eager to see how they can benefit from this, what you are saying, because whether we like it or not, our parents have been wasting energy and resources going by what you're saying here.
Yes, so I think it is very possible, and we'll always consult back to the GIZ office that this is what is happening. When they also give us the go-ahead that, yes, you can expand the training to of course, that's the impact. That's what we want. That's what we want, to reach to many farmers as possible, and to see how we can also improve their life, so that they shouldn't be repeating, doing what they've been doing year in, year out. And when you go somewhere, you tell somebody farming is a very nice thing, you can be rich. They look at you as if you are a scammer. They look at you as if you just come in to blindfold them. That they have been doing year in, year out, and they're not able to even construct a nice house or to even buy a car, send their children to go to school. Why are you still telling them that with farming you can make it in life? So it is an approach that I think we really have. We can go by it, and things will change.
We can change if we want to. What we need is the will now. This one says, good evening, sir. I'm really enjoying the program. Please ask Dr. Nick how to use machines in land of hills and stones. For example, in Ngwa, there are also plains in this area, sir. Good evening to you all. Please, I have a swampy zone in Douala. I have a very large land here, but can't cultivate anything on it because of the salty nature of the soil and constant high tides that always results to flood. But I love farming so much. I have heard about greenhouse farming. Please, how do I do it? Bishop Ndingi, GM, writing from Douala. And do you have any advice for any such persons?
The advice I can give him is, you have this land, is swampy and is salty. Why not, you must not cultivate crops. Why not cultivate fish or something like that? Fish that can tolerate salt and so on, you know.
Yeah, but he's talking about greenhouse.
Okay, about the greenhouse, he can contact Mr. Roland Formundam.
Roland Formundam.
Yeah.
Okay, can you just get to me? I will give you Dr. Nick's number. He will connect you to Mr. Roland Formundam. Yes, you have something else to say?
Yes, I was also saying that sometimes you can have a space like that one, but you are not compelled to do farming. Like doctor is saying, you could see that fishing will be good in that area. But my fear here is looking at the nature of Douala, and with what maybe he is just eager about farming, so he might not actually have what it takes to construct a fish farm in that area, in respect to what he is already talking about the soil. Because when you already identify that the soil is like this, it means you have to do something.
It means that the seeds come and go.
Yes. So at the same time, I also wish to tell the farmer that sometimes it depends on the type of crop you want to cultivate. Because you might have a swampy area, but what you also have in mind to cultivate is not suitable at the
so
swampy
he should consult an expert in the domain.
He can plant coconuts, those dwarf coconuts. He can plant those. There are so many things you can do.
Good evening, Mr. Liu, and the panelists, especially Mr. Nfor Agriculture is the backbone of many economies, but has been grossly neglected in Africa due to the mindsets of Africans, especially Cameroonians, on the notion of seeing agriculture as a last resort, which is supposed to be seen as every other profession. Agro-pastoral entrepreneur Oben, writing from Suza. Okay, good evening to you, Mr. Oben. I would have loved to also have you participate on this program. Good evening to all of you in the studio. If the government wants to solve this problem, I think the government should give some subvention to those who want to do farming. Johnson Nfor is writing from Limbe. Good evening to you. Joseph, writing from Bonaberi, says that good evening to everyone in the house, especially to the man of Israel who is using good evidence to justify agriculture. That is good, sir. I, for one, I am still very young, so I want to do agro-pastoral. So our parents most known that agriculture is the first and the last economy. So please, let's them send their children to learn that, because they are the leaders of tomorrow, okay? Good evening to you, Joseph, from Bonaberi. Okay, this message is not related to what we're discussing. It's always a blessing listening to Dr. Nick. What a blessing. Memes, writing from Dubai. This is a very interesting topic. Memes, good evening to you. Hi, Mr. Leo, watching your program live from Boya. Good evening to you, wherever you're watching us from. Good evening to you all in the studio. I think right from high school, the youth needs to be oriented on what it means becoming a successful professional farmer. Most of us grew up in homes where intense subsistence farming is practiced, labor intensive. Also, I think the sector can be improved through creative media content like advocacy films and other creative arts contents where majority of the youth are more attracted to. paint a beautiful picture of farming. Bernard Ngwa, writing from Bamenda. Shout out to Mr. Nfor. Good evening to you, Bernard. Good evening to everyone in the house. I'm Bongwi Anne-Marie from Chang. I'm so much joy the program. Please extend my greetings to Mr. Nfor. He was one of my teachers in the farm business school in Chang. Indeed, agriculture has been neglected in Cameroon. Good evening, Mr. Kum. I am grateful with this topic. I wish to ask mentor, Dr. Nick, if he can add me to his forum. Francis Suli is writing from Muyuka. I'm sure Dr. Nick will add you to his forum. Just do this request after the program, please. What the government should do is first invest more in research and then make these findings available for local farmers at a relatively affordable price, because the current price of products sold at research centers are very expensive. Secondly, organize the production chain. Invest more in the value chain where what is produced isn't wasted, because this is going to ensure farmers get money from their farming they do. Make available funds to farmers through small loans and credit schemes. I appreciate your efforts, Mr. Liu, and of course those with you in the studio. Amidu Habiru, writing from Bomenda. Good evening to you, Amidu. Glad to read from you also. How about online training? Is it possible with the GIZ? Theophile is writing in Mume. I would like to belong to any of the WhatsApp groups that Dr. Nick talked about, especially that in which issues of cocoa and oil palm farming and marketing are discussed. Okay, Theophile, just make this request after the program. I'm sure I will get you connected to Dr. Nick and possibly to Mr. Nfor. Many persons are talking about agriculture as a profession. Yes. It is still not seen in Cameroon as a profession, though we have many agronomists and a host of others.
That's right. When Nfor was talking, I had this. I always keep having brainwaves. You know, you ask a question. We have the Ministry of Agriculture for all these years, but the question is, why is agriculture not improving? There's a lot of money that is pumped in there as budgets and so on, but it's not cost effective. There's something wrong somewhere. You have all these people riding in big cars and so on, but the agriculture, you're not getting anything out of it. When you want to talk to them, they will say the tonnage of cocoa has gone up and down. No, that's not the issue. And yet we are importing rice in tons and tons of rice and fish. So something's wrong. Now, but why? Let's ask ourselves some questions. When our children train in the faculties of agriculture, why is it that they don't have they don't open farms? Go check most of them. They don't open farms. They train, they get the certificates, but they don't open farms. Something is wrong somewhere. And if you also go to the Ministry of Agriculture, more often than not, the minister has no farm. The Secretary General has no farm, not even a bed of tomatoes. The directors, they have no farms. They could be agronomes or whatever. Everybody just wears a suit and tie, and then the government buys them a big car. That is one of the biggest mistakes, because the people who are responsible for agriculture, they themselves have no farms. And all they do is they sit there and look for a budget, what is in the budget for me to take home and so on. They have no farms. They are responsible for the agriculture, but they have no finger in practical agriculture. And there's one gentleman I've always admired. I've been sitting here the whole time trying to recall his name, and it's not coming. He was the director a few years back. I don't know if he's still there. He was the director of livestock, a part of the ministry that looks after animal husbandry. I don't know how it's called again. What is it called? Animal.
It's animal husbandry.
Animal husbandry. Yes. He was the delegate in Bafoussam. And I visited his chicken farm. And he has a big chicken farm producing a lot of chicken. And he's from a gentleman from Dok. The name is just coming. And then I hear now somewhere in Douala here, he has big farms too. Those are the kind of people we should encourage. That you are the delegate of agriculture, but you are able to feed thousands with what you are doing. The farms are not government farms, they are his own farms. And he's putting his technical know-how and showing how it is being done. And I would say that if we are going to be appointing people or whatever to lead in agriculture or something, don't appoint administrators. Appoint people who have shown a demonstration, who are actually doing it. Then things will turn around. But when you keep appointing people who just in coat and tie, nothing will ever happen.
Nothing would ever happen. Now, we are talking about, you raised the issue, asking the question whether, why are we importing?
Yeah.
Should Cameroon, that you know, you have gone to Israel, you studied there, you've seen the soil, you've seen the climatic condition of Israel. They are a great nation that exports a lot of agricultural produce. Should we in Africa, in Cameroon in particular, be importing fish, rice, and a host of others? Why don't we do like
potato
others?
chips?
Mr. Leo, please permit me. I'll always start the question to answer you from the top.
Okay.
Yes, I will say we don't suppose to import. A capital no. Because let me take this example again. You see a country like Israel. Israel has just the Mediterranean Sea and the Dead Sea. That is the source of water for Israel. But it is the same country that they do not have what it takes to cultivate on the soil. And all along, what they do is to cultivate and irrigate in greenhouses. Where does the water come from? The water comes from the Dead Sea or from the Mediterranean Sea. That is where they channel the water. And that is the only source of water where the people, they call the machine, they drink, they do whatever. It is enough. So I am saying this from what they are saying, whether we should import. We don't supposed to import, because by nature we have all what it takes to produce food in this country. If we want to go by rain, the rain is available. If you were to tell me to give you an approximate millimeters of rainfall in Israel, I will not tell you, because my days in Israel, I scarcely saw where rain was falling. It did not. Even during winter, you can only have snow around the north of the country. You barely have snow even. So this is to tell you that if Israel was to depend on rain-fed agriculture, they will not do anything. But then they have been able to harness the little water that is available for them, even though they are mighty seas, and they are able to use and produce food where they can export. And again, coming back to the Dead Sea, when they say Dead Sea, what comes to your mind? Dead Sea means no life lives in that sea. That is to tell you how toxic the sea is, with chemicals and all whatnot. But Israel is able to harness this water source and able to give it to plants, and they are able to cultivate and export. In my days again, I noticed this, like a doctor was saying, that when we talk of big farms in America, in the Middle East, China, wherever, it is the private sector. We are not talking about government farms. Where I was actually placed in my farm, where I need to take practical while going to school, it was a private farm. And that farm was a farm where the present proprietor has succeeded from the father. He was not the creator. He succeeded the farm from the father. And at one moment, I tried to evaluate what we were giving to the market. I did not evaluate a truck. I evaluated just a trolley. We were cultivating vegetable, flowers, and so on. I tried to evaluate just a trolley of flour, how much it can cost. And I realized that all the salaries for people that were working in that farm, regardless of us, the students, that trolley could pay that salary. That trolley could account for the fuel used in that farm. That trolley could account for the soil.
The rest goes to profit.
Yes. At the same time, let me give again another example where we don't supposed to import food, because we have all what it takes in Cameroon to produce food. What lacks is just the will, some policy somewhere, and so on. You see, Israel, like the farm I work in, again, permit me to always use the example I know best. There are many farms in Israel, but let me always stay in this farm, and the farm is called Yanai. You could go online and Google search Yanai. You see beautiful greenhouses. Yanai imports plant debris in the form of soil from EU. It could be, for example, Holland. They import the soil. We were not planting on the soil. We were planting on the tables that they are well structured with galvanized metals, and you have cups. Imagine you cultivating in cups of let's say a hand washing bowl, and you cultivate flower in that cup. You take the cups to the machine, you program the cups in the machine, and you put the soil. These are what I operated. You put the soil and you program the machine, and it's filling the cups. And you in the next chamber you program, you remove the plant from the seed greenhouse, and you program it with a computer. When it reaches that chamber, the machine picks and plants in those cups, and you water it along. And at the tail end, you take just what you have on a plastic trays, and you go and place them on those galvanized tables in the greenhouse, and you set the condition. You could either irrigate through drips irrigation, or you put the sprinkler on the roof of the greenhouses. So, Mr. Leo, if a farm like that can buy from the soil, from the crops, from the seeds, import manpower from Thailand, and they still import and they make profit, why should Cameroon, they still export rather, they still export. Why should Cameroon, with all the natural soil, with all the heavy rainfall annually, and all the water sources around, why should we import rice? So what we need is the will, the policies well corrected, well followed, and well implemented, and we'll do more than what we see. And this is where agriculture counts. If you think that at the level of agriculture you only have to produce what you need, then you are not doing agriculture. Then there is nothing as food security or whatever. Agriculture counts when you are able to produce what you need as a country or what you need as that institution, and you are able to also export a great quantity to other people that they cannot produce. This is what makes you think that you are a producer. But if you stay at the level of just producing what you need, and even we still don't produce what we need, because if we can import rice, it means your everyday is not producing enough. Same in the north, is not producing enough corn. We have been identified as people that we eat the corn foods, the katikate, whatever. But still yet we are not able to meet up with our maize demand in the country. And Brazil still go somewhere to import maize and produce the beer that we are tanking.
You came back from Israel. You gathered knowledge. Since you came back, what have you been doing?
Okay, yes, Mr. Leo, that question is just strange, because people have been asking me the question left and right.
Yes. You explained it so well. And there's so much land in the Northwest. You live in the Northwest. Exactly.
You see, why the question is actually coming is because sometimes people want to broadcast on Facebook, left and right, that this is what I am doing. Unfortunately, with my initiative, that is not what we have been doing. So the first thing when I came back from Israel, I did was that I realized, like, there's a video we just watched. Yes, the guy is trying to explain to us that you can diversify. We should not only focus on one area. Yes, so one of them, my main interest where I was concerned was watermelon, which I cultivated watermelon in a small village in Do subdivision. The name of the village, Ntaba village. I cultivated watermelon. At the same time, I also cultivated watermelon in Gomgam with one of my mentors, which runs an organization in Bamenda. The name of the organization, Wa Cameroon. Yes, the coordinator of Wa Cameroon. We jointly cultivated watermelon in Gomgam in Bamenda, and that is where I started showing my expertise. And when I cultivated the watermelon with him, I did not cultivate any kind of watermelon. I cultivated sizable watermelon. I did not I must be honest, I did not go on a large scale. It was about 500 meters square. That's half a hectare. Yes. I had to use some technology in having that watermelon. For example, in a plant of watermelon or a stem, you could have about 13 to 14 fruits. But when I cultivated this watermelon, I did not want to have that 14. So we had to do what we're doing, pruning. We did pruning, and we were also doing castration. So what did I do? I cultivated the watermelon in mounds. I did not cultivate in flat or in buds, because I know if you do it the way other farmers have been doing, it's not going to show some difference. It's like you are just the same like them. So I cultivated it in mounds, and when the watermelon germinated, I had to come and do what we call a pruning or castration. When it is flowering, you need to destroy some of those flowers so that it shouldn't stress the plant in producing more fruit. Whereas at the end of the day, some will not even be sweet enough or will not have what it takes to call it a watermelon. So we castrated it, or we did pruning. So each stem we're having 9 sizable watermelons, which one never cost 1,000 francs, and that is how I started. With the one in
how much did you sell for one? One was how much?
The least we sold one was at least 1.5.
Okay.
Yes, per melon. Yes. So we sold up to 2,000 francs, 2,500. Yes, per melon. So actually, there was an initiative where this, like I said, she's a mentor to me. She just wanted to see what I can do, or to encourage me not to come and fold my arms and sit. Yes, so we did it as a demonstration, but at the end of the day, we had to dive into due to other field activities, we had to suspend that one. In those subdivision in Taba, it's the same thing I did, but we had some problem in Taba due to the grazing. The area was a grazing area, so at one moment some cattle had to trespass through the land, and a great deal
of farmer grazier,
yes,
a problem.
Yes, a great deal of the watermelon was actually destroyed. Notwithstanding, still back from Israel, like you read at the beginning, we have an initiative in Bamenda by name Rural Sustainable Integrated Development. This is an initiative where we're creating at a time when, even right now, unemployment is still at the peak in Cameroon. At the same time, youth are still one of those where that is seeking for jobs. So we're bringing the initiative focusing on youth and focusing at the rural areas, where we think that is where the majority of the rural poor they live. So with this initiative, we have been replicating what we did in Israel. For example, presently we have students on internship under our organization in Bamenda. That internship, we don't welcome students that will come and sit in the classroom and we give them lecture to write the organizational organigram is this or this and that. We started like this. No, we don't do that. What we are doing is that when this student comes on internship, we try to find out exactly what is their point of interest. Even though they are studying agriculture, but what exactly in that agriculture you want to end up with. Every day we hear of encouraging you to be entrepreneurs and so on. Entrepreneur is a very big word. You could be an entrepreneur in website designing. You could be an entrepreneur in social domain. Like, yes. So we group the youth to make sure we map out, or we feature out that aspect in which they can become that entrepreneur. And how are we doing this? We have a demonstration farm. In this demonstration farm, when students come on internship, if you are interested in poultry, we go and we acquire some birds, and that bird we acquire at day old. At day old, because we want these youths to follow the process, because that is the same training we were given in Israel. Like my colleagues that they were doing poultry, they were the one that they prepared the brooding room, they prepared from the brooding room until finishing. And that is the same thing we were doing. When I arrived my farm, we were taken straight to move around the farm, and they give you the seed. You go and start from the seed unit. From that seed unit, you come from the planting unit and through harvesting. That is what we are trying to replicate with these students.
Okay, from every indication, we may not be able to finish what was built for this program. We may have to program another day to continue our discussions. But let's take a second, listen to a colleague, Raphael from Kumba.
Okay.
As you can see, this is one of my beehives here in Kumba town, precisely opposite where Presbyterian Primary School, Kumba town, PS. So this is the boxes that I've planted. This is another one. As you can still see, I just got this. I want to thank Dr. Nick. That gives me the inspiration, the power to come to this, because I was once asleep. But when you talk of agriculture, you can see the bees inside. They are right inside there. You can see the way they are walking. So there's and there. So thanks to Dr. Nick, who have made me to wake up and start this back. And I call for his support, for him to assist and help me. And Apostle Ambe, all of them. Thank you. This is another one, as you can see. This is another beehives. You can see them right inside as they are parading their box. You can see them for yourself. They are there, going in and out. So you can watch them as they are walking here, as the beehives. Yes, you can see the way I've walked this Kumba town in PHS. So you can see this top like this, I have to add on top. There are boxes that I have to come and add on top, remove this thing and lay them on top again as a drawer. So you can see this. I'll still continue to say thanks to Dr. Nick and Apostle Ambe that I've listened from them through my media prime when they used to talk about agriculture. So please, I need assistance for this. I know there's nothing that can compare with a bee farmer. Even here is a cocoa farm. You can see here is a cocoa farm. But if I have a beehives, I don't think that I'll have to compare with a cocoa farmer. There's no one. So these are the bees there, you can see them. This is it. There is it there. They are going in and out. You can see them yourself. I'm just still watching his program as they are talking. So I just wish to teach people how to do bee farming. This is European bee farming, not African bee farming. Because there are ways that you have to do it. This one, it doesn't touch. This is a master breeding box. This is a breeding box. You don't touch it. So you just multiply on top. You just add it on top. And then there's another one there. As you can see, there's another box there. So everything is done here in Kumba. So that's it, as you can see. Good evening, brothers and sisters. Good evening to all the viewers of my media prime. I'm called Ecole Raphael. This is a bee farming that I've been doing for long. For some time now, I've been being a bee farmer. So I've left it for some time, not doing it because of financial help. But when I got up to see that my media prime is such a program, is such a TV, or whatever, they have a program that helps to educate people. So I fall in love with it. So when I was watching it, I got that Dr. Nick and Apostle Ambe, they talk much about agriculture. And they make me to get up from sleep. I said, no, let me go up. Let me go and see how I can do again to revive my bee farming. As you can see here, these are the beehives. There are bees inside. You can see there are bees inside. But I'm not doing the best work. And for myself that I'm a bee farmer, this is not the best. Because things like this block, they have to be removed. Because when it is raining, the block has a width that can collapse the top bars. For those who know about bee farming, can collapse the top bars. So this thing has a cover that I have to make it and cover it very well, so that I cannot use this, because there is a time that this block alone can collapse the whole bee hives. So what I'm intending to tell people is that let us work. A bee farmer is somebody that you cannot compare with any other person. A cocoa farmer cannot compare. If you see like this farm of cocoa, you cannot compare it with any other person. So what I'm telling you is that I can use your farm to instantly make myself rich by planting my boxes, like how I'm here. Somebody have given me his cocoa farm. I've planted boxes, as you can see. It's enough cocoa farm that I can plant so many boxes, and bees love this type of place. So what I'm trying to say here, please, I just need that government should help and support me. And I'm praying that my media prime also should take me and show me everywhere, so that this thing can be learned with somebody. So I'm here to teach and to make people to know that not only white collar jobs can give you money, but agriculture is the best. Agriculture is the best, because this alone, this beehives here, is, if I have to do harvesting here, it gives me not less than 20 liters a month. I mean, after 3 months, because I come here after 3 months, and when I will start doing the addition of drawers, you will see that it is giving me much. So please, I need the help from government, and I need the help from anywhere, and I need people to come and learn. There are things that you can do, not only white collar jobs. There are things that you can do to give you money. So I'm praying that this should go a long way. I'm in Kumba, precisely in Nunkwata.
Okay, that is the spirit. We also are gladdened at the level of my media prime to know that there are persons who are also inspired to get back to work because of the work we do out there. And please, if you are watching us and you think that you want to help Ecole Raphael, that's a glaring example of how we can do it ourselves. Please, just call me. I will get you connected to Ecole Raphael so that in your modest way you can help him, please. Dr. Nick, quite touching there.
Yes, quite touching, and I'm glad that what we come to do here is helping. And to say that to all the people who are listening to us, you know, you don't have to pay to come to my media prime. You don't have to pay at all, and my media prime has got an open door. If you have something useful that you can share with the people, so that we can all grow together. Mr. Kum Leo and the house and Mr. Tambe, they are always very willing to give you an opportunity to share with people. And I was saying the other day, I will look for a little money to support the agricultural program on this television, so that we can have more of these programs to teach people. And those WhatsApp groups I was talking about, I would go in there and ask some of the consultants like Dr. Eseni and many others to come here, talk about the chicken, talk about maggots, talk about mushrooms, talk about growing apples, talk about all these things, so that we begin to see that we have gold that we are not using.
Okay, I'll take a few messages. This one's okay. This one he has sent me pictures of yams. He says agriculture pays off. These are yams harvested from a small space in front of my house in Bamenda. There are lots of them that he just sent to me now. Okay, so you could also plant yams and you will not regret it. You just need to get to your farm and things will happen. Mr. Leo, I enjoyed the program of today. It's my field. I'm Ketu Roland from Bamenda, an agricultural technician. Please, I wish my number is added to Dr. Nick's WhatsApp group. Thanks. This request should come after the program, please. Good evening, Mr. Leo. Always inform the public on your topic of discussion tonight daily. We need current issues. Okay. I have abandoned my enjoyment. Okay.
So mean he's not interested in agriculture?
Yeah.
Oh my Jesus.
Good evening, my brother. God bless you for the good work. Justo is writing from Malabo. Good evening, Mr. Leo. It's always a pleasure having Dr. Nick in your program. Anytime I see him on Prime App, I follow keenly because I always learn new things from him. He's such an inspiration to many. Pamela is writing from Yaoundé. Good evening. Please, I would like to be added in the WhatsApp forum for Dr. Nick too. Can you guys just send me, or Dr. Nick, can you just send me the link to the WhatsApp group so that anybody that makes a request, I send a link for them to join?
No, what I would rather say is that if you could just copy those names and their telephone numbers and send to me, then I will send to Mr. Eseni and he will put them in the groups.
Good evening, Mr. Liu and guests in the studio. Farmers lack security and thus Bayam Salam strip the fruits of farmers instead. What an irony. If you visit the Baliga market, for example, you will hear the farmers jubilating that a 15 liters bucket of Gary has risen to 10,000 francs, but in essence, the fraudulent bucket used can measure 22 liters. Really a pity. Derek Wala writing from Chang. Good evening to you. Derek, always watching the program. Good evening, Mr. Kum Leonard. Can I have the contact of Honeybee Farmer, please? From Babila Blonsky in Tico. You are asking for the number of Ecole. Raphael, can you just write to me after the program? I'll send you Ecole's number. Oh, Ecole, can you just write to me if you're watching? Just write to me, send me your contacts. Let me share with those who need it. Good evening. I'm Japheth from Bamenda. The farmers should group themselves into cooperatives and common initiative groups, which are objective-oriented to boost agricultural production. The government should give subsidies that can be used to improve agricultural programs. The farmers collecting should make sure the finances should be used for the purpose meant for. Okay. Good evening, Mr. Leo. Your program is very rich. Agriculture is still a problem, even in structures such as CDC, because sometimes children of rich or well-connected individuals are brought into head structure for which they master little or nothing about the structure. As a result, production is very minimal. Okay, Mr. Nfor, we are wrapping up for this evening, but certainly you have something for the public. How can you help the public to join you, especially in your school?
Okay, what I just wish to tell the public at this moment is that we have to remove that archaic mindset that farmers belong to the dirty, or farming belongs to the dirty people or is the last job on earth. We have to remove that mindset. At the same time, we are saying that if you are interested in farmer business school, you can always get to us so that we tell you the various techniques in which farming is taking, because maybe you are seeing it as a bad profession because you are ignorant. So if you got to understand the modern ways in which things have evolved around, you will see that it is where you can make it big in life. At the same time, farming, we should take farming as a business. Don't take farming as if you are doing it for doing sake, or you are doing it because you inherited seeing it from your parents. You are doing it because people have been doing it. No. Insofar as we have businesses in town, let's also take farming as a business. Whatever you have to do in a farm, you're supposed to take note, take record of everything. So at the end of the day, you determine the price of your produce in a field. Somebody is just talking about buy and sell, that farmers are insecure because of buy and sell and so on. This is because the farmer, when you ask a farmer, what makes you think that you should sell a bucket of garri for 1,000? The farmer will not tell you. He feels that because everybody is selling at 1,000, let me sell at 1,000. But if you go through the farmer business school, you will be able to understand that a unit cost, suppose there is something that has to determine how you arrive at your unit cost of selling something in the market, and that has to start from the unit cost of production, because you will not produce a loaf of bread for 200 francs and you take that bread to the market and you sell it for 50 francs. Obviously, you have to sell it more than 200 francs so that you make some profit and that production cost is covered. So these are some of the aspects that we think it has been neglected down the farming chain, and we keep doing it as if it is any kind of a job. At the same time, I want to say rural sustainable integrated development is located in Bamenda. If you need expertise in agriculture, or orientation or whatever, we are available.
Okay.
Okay, precisely at Maitu.
Okay.
Our demonstration farm is located at New Route.
Okay, so yes. If you want the services of Mr. Nfor, he is an expert in issues of agriculture. Please just contact me or you get to him directly. Mr. Nfor, can you give them your number?
Oh, of course.
Okay. Yes, just read it out. Okay,
my contact is 6970 72326. 6970 72326.
Okay, so if you missed that number, please get to me. I'll give you his number. Good evening, Mr. Kum Leonard. Can I have the contact of the honeybee farmer, please? From Babila Bronski in Tico. Babila, you have Mr. Ekole's number there with you. Good evening, Mr. Kum. My name is Shuni Silas Bimenui from Boya. Please kindly send me my number to Dr. Nick to add to the group. Okay, that will be done. Good evening. I'm also a bee farmer and would like to be included in Dr. Nick's WhatsApp group. Okay. Please, for Mr. Nfor's number, Mr. Nfor gave you the number, so just, I'm sure you got it. Good evening, Mr. Leo. Please, I'm a snail farmer and wish to showcase my product, Mr. Ernest Writing. I also wish I could be added to Dr. Nick's WhatsApp group. Watching you from Chang West region. Good evening to you. Good evening. I enjoy your program. Please, can I have Ecole's number? I am in Kumba, Tiku, Barnabas. Thanks. There you have Mr. Ecole Rafael's number. I just sent it to you. Please, those of you who would like to assist Mr. Ecole in his bee farming, get to me. I'll connect you to him to help develop bee farming in Kumba. Good evening, Mr. Liu. Thanks for the wonderful program. I am an agricultural researcher in Yaoundé. Kindly add me to Mr. Ngwanyam's list. Kindly let us get our colleague's number from Israel. We are blessed. Mr. Liu. Felix Fon is writing from Yaoundé. Please, sir, add me. I am Lukong from Melong, which to be on the group to understand the farming chain. Good evening, Mr. Liu. Thanks for this wonderful lesson. I'm so grateful. Some patients writing from Bamenda. Okay. Yes, lots and lots of requests there from many people. Please, we have to end here. Thank you, Dr. Nick, for coming.
Yeah. What I'm going to do, I'm going to speak with Dr. Esenia. He has this sustainable agriculture group. We created group 1, it was full, then we created group 2 and it was full. The way I'm seeing it now, we'll have to create group 3, 4, 5, 6 other, and we'll only create a link where people can just register themselves, and we make those links available. That way a lot of people can join. If a group is full, we can keep adding as many, and then we get information to flow across so that people learn. WhatsApp is social media is a beautiful tool for education. And before we leave the studio, there was somebody, when you were reading those messages, somebody from Bamenda said something that I need to talk about, which is very vexing. You know, he's saying that you should always give the topics out because he has wasted his evening when he ought to be enjoying. And that is the mindset Mr. Nfor was talking about. I mean, Cameroon, we just spend all the time.
Yeah, but Dr. Nick, he's just one out of the hundreds of persons who have written.
But when he writes like that, he intoxicates. I'm just trying to say that mindset, it is that mindset of enjoyment. You know, you cannot just keep enjoying. If you didn't like it, then just go away quietly instead of talking on TV that you wanted to go and enjoy. And he missed enjoy. You see, it's very unfortunate.
Okay, Dr. Nick, thank you.
Thank you. It's a pleasure. And if we can all have this mindset and do the right thing, believe me, we can create 2 million jobs for youth every 2 years with the help of the government, and that is coming.
Thank you all for watching. Thank you to the production team. Stay blessed. Bye-bye.